The day we tried to lay my brother to rest, my neighbor called 911 on my son and told dispatch he was armed. 3 cruisers came flying down our gravel drive, sirens slicing straight through a funeral prayer, and for a few seconds I watched police aim their weapons at a 16-year-old kid who was still kneeling beside an urn. That was the moment grief turned into something else, something sharp. This happened in early spring in Virginia, on our family's 5 acres that sit right up against a glossy subdivision called Maple Crest. Their lawns are perfect, their fences match, and their HOA acts like it's a small government. Our land is older than all of it. Out back there's an oak tree so wide it looks permanent, like the world could change around it forever and it would still be there. That oak mattered because it was my brother Noah's last request. Noah didn't leave a legal document. He left a letter, thin paper, folded and refolded until the crease went soft. He wrote it overseas, trying to sound brave, trying to sound normal. If something happens, he said, don't put me in one of those rows where everybody looks the same. Bring me home. Put me under the oak. That was it. Simple. Personal. After he was killed, we brought back what we could, and we did exactly what he asked. That morning it was my parents, the chaplain, me, and my son Caleb. We set the urn on a small stand under the oak. Caleb stepped forward with Noah's dog tags and a few wildflowers. He pressed the tags to the urn like he could transfer warmth through metal. Then he whispered something and kissed the wood. My mom held her breath like she was afraid it would crack her. And then a voice cut in, loud, offended, wrong for the moment. Excuse me, what is this? At the property line stood our next-door nightmare. Let's call her Tracy. She was the HOA president over in Maple Crest, the kind of woman who smiled while she fined you. Perfect hair, phone already up, recording like she'd been waiting for a scene. The bitter part is, she'd been circling US for months. Not because we did anything to her, but because we didn't fit her picture. We had an old barn, a gravel drive, and a teenage boy who wore boots instead of loafers. The first time she spoke to me, she said, "Are you the renter?" Like my family's land was a pop-up inconvenience. "This is a family service," I said. "Please leave." Tracy looked at the urn, then at my son, then back at me. "You can't do this," she said, loud enough to make it public. "There are rules. You can't bury people here. It's inappropriate." "It's our land," I said. "It's a registered family burial site. The HOA doesn't control it." She laughed. "Paperwork doesn't matter if it violates community standards," she said. "People walk that trail. They'll see this. It's unsightly. And honestly, the drama is a lot." Drama. That word hit like a slap. I felt my dad tense beside me. I felt Caleb go still. Tracy took her little victory and marched back toward her yard, still filming, like she'd just handled us. We tried to continue. The chaplain started again, softer, careful. We hadn't even finished when sirens started. Close, not distant. Red and blue lights flashed through the trees. 3 patrol cars slammed to a stop in our driveway. Officers spilled out, hands on holsters, eyes scanning like we were a threat. "Get on the ground," one shouted. "Hands up." It was aimed at Caleb, my kid, still kneeling beside his uncle's ashes. His hands rose automatically, panic draining the color from his face. A younger officer moved forward fast, too fast, body tight with adrenaline. "No." I stepped between them. "That's my son. Back up." "Ma'am, we have a report of a suspicious male with a weapon," he snapped. "A weapon?" I said, and then I saw what he meant, the folded flagpole beside the urn. A ceremonial pole. A stick. From behind the fence, Tracy's voice rang out, thrilled and shrill. "He threatened me. I told you he was dangerous." The lead officer, older, calmer, looked from my mother clutching the urn, to the chaplain, to Caleb's raised hands. Confusion crossed his face. "Ma'am," he said to me, quieter. "Are you the homeowner?" "I am," I said. My hands were shaking, but my voice wasn't. I pulled my credential wallet out and flipped it open. I don't talk about my job much, especially around neighbors. In my world, titles are for paperwork, not conversations over a fence. But in that moment, my son needed every layer of protection I had. "My name is Jordan Hale," I said. "I'm a federal attorney with the U.S. Department of Justice. And you are pointing weapons at a grieving child at a private funeral. Stand down." The lead officer's eyes widened. He threw a hand up. "Lower your weapons." "Now." Dispatch crackled, confirming my identity. The younger officer lowered his weapon, jaw clenched, like reality just embarrassed him. Tracy exploded. "She's lying," she shrieked. "That badge is fake." The lead officer didn't even look at her. He stepped toward me, voice tight. "Ms. Hale, I'm sorry." The caller said cult activity. Armed teen. Threats. I stared at Tracy over his shoulder. "So you came in like this," I said, slow. "Because she wanted a show." He swallowed. "I'm sorry," he said again. The officers backed out and left, lights off, sirens silent, the whole thing disappearing as fast as it arrived. The yard went quiet, but it wasn't peaceful. Caleb's hand stayed up for a beat too long, like his body didn't trust safety. Then he dropped them and folded, shaking. I held him under the oak while my mother stood frozen with the urn, like moving would make the world tilt. Later, inside, Caleb wiped his face and whispered, "Mom, she has cameras. I saw them yesterday." Pointed at the tree. That's when my anger went cold. I walked the fence line and found 2 sleek cameras angled into our yard, plus a sign about community monitoring. Then I noticed the timing. Tracy didn't just show up to complain. She showed up already filming, already ready to call it in. This wasn't a tantrum. This was a plan. Over the next week, her plan got louder. A typed letter appeared in my mailbox on HOA letterhead, telling me to cease unauthorized interment activities. She posted online about suspicious behavior on adjoining property, and when someone asked if we were the family who lost a soldier, Tracy shrugged it off like it was irrelevant. So I did what I'd do in any case. I documented everything, and I reported it properly. An investigator in our public integrity work started pulling records. And once you look, you can't unsee it. HOA money siphoned through fake vendors, inflated invoices, transfers that landed in accounts tied back to Tracy. Meanwhile, she ramped up her control, slapping residents with absurd fines. People got warnings for visible clutter, meaning a child's bicycle. Someone got hit for unapproved holiday lighting. Even though it wasn't a holiday, it was just a porch light that was too warm. One guy joked he was going to get fined for blinking wrong. Nobody laughed for long, because everyone felt the same thing, watched. Then we found the bigger piece. The cameras weren't just on us. There was a network, birdhouses, decorative rocks, a fake utility box near the trail. Covert surveillance paid for with HOA funds, feeding back to Tracy's home setup. And right when investigators started asking quiet questions, Tracy started deleting records, calling a shredding service, trying to wipe her tracks like she could erase reality. Neighbors started coming forward. One older widow handed over a handwritten ledger of cash assessments Tracy demanded, always in person, always urgent, always off the books. Another neighbor admitted Tracy insisted on checking his security system and somehow always ended up inside his house. Little things that felt creepy on their own, then horrifying when you line them up. That was enough. Warrants got signed. We scheduled a community meeting at the rec center. Not an HOA meeting, not Tracy's stage. A transparency meeting. The room filled up wall to wall, people clutching violation letters like proof they weren't crazy. Tracy walked in with a lawyer and that tight smile, like she could still control the air. She stood up immediately and said, "This meeting is not authorized." And someone in the back shot back, "Neither were your cameras." After that, the HOA collapsed fast. Signs came down. People started waving again. Kids played outside without parents scanning birdhouses. And under our oak tree, on a day with no sirens and no shouting, we finished what we'd tried to do in the first place. We laid Noah to rest with dignity. But here's the part that still makes my stomach twist. I knew how to push the system because of my job. I knew what to document, who to call, what questions to ask. And it worked. So I have to ask, would anything have happened if I was just another resident with no title and no access? Would Tracy have kept watching, kept stealing, kept calling the cops on whoever bothered her? And if the system only works fast when the right person gets targeted, what does that say about the rest of us? Tell me what you think. Was this justice, or did privilege play a part? And where's the line between following rules and using rules as a weapon? Drop your take in the comments. And if you've ever dealt with an HOA tyrant or seen someone call the police just to feel powerful, share your story. If you want more stories like this, hit like, subscribe, and send this to someone who needs the reminder that bullies don't get to write the rules forever.